The county attorney, legislation.
Legislative updates from
John Hauser.
Mr. John Hauser, our assistant county attorney. Welcome, John.
Almost said good morning, commissioners, and then I caught myself. Good afternoon. I will try. I know I've promised this in the past to mixed results. I will try to be briefer than the allotted time.
We got a lot of attorneys here today, John. You better watch what you're saying.
Better watch out.
I will say, usually the pitfall is not the presentation, it's the questions that get posed to me.
Wait a minute.
I did want to
Watch yourself.
Duly noted.
As we go into the legislative briefing, this will be my first one of this year's legislative session. I did want to let the commissioners know I am going to try and change it up from how it was done in the past. There are a lot of tracked bills that we track. There are a lot on the memorandum. I do not intend to talk about each and every one. There are a few of particular interest on each page I'll highlight, but for the most point, and I'll talk more when we get to the section that covers it, the thought was to just put them on there. If anything catches the commissioner's eye, if anything is of interest, welcome to field a question on anything that is on there, as well as any other legislation out there that's not on the memorandum that a commissioner might have a question about. But the idea is that, again, if something is of interest that I do not speak about, the commissioners, I invite any questions about it, but otherwise I will move on to the next one that is kind of on, we think, to bring up. Starting off, we will keep the traditional format of always beginning with a summary of where we stand on our local bills and local legislation at this time in the session. Because we had a later legislative proposal schedule owing to the election, because bills were sent to the delegation later than they have been in previous years, owing to that, not all our bills have yet been drafted and entered. There is an update from what's on the memorandum. We do have one bill that has made it out of drafting by the Department of Legislative Services and has a House bill number assigned. That is the extension of the transfer tax sunset date. That came up yesterday evening, I believe, HB 247. We still do not have text. All other bills are still in drafting by the Department of Legislative Services, with the exception of State's Attorney Sterling's request to transfer the Child Support Enforcement Unit to the Department of Human Services. That is still awaiting a delegation vote, although my understanding is that the State's Attorney spoke to Senator Bailey when this was first pitched in December, and we're expecting it will have a soft landing with the delegation. Other than that, we are still waiting for the DLS to finish with our local bills. The only other update I have is that there will be a change to the bond authority that the commissioners proposed. The total top-line figure of the bonding bill that we sent to the delegation was $56 million. And as the commissioners know, and as Deputy County Attorney Buffy Giddens said the last meeting to cover my absence, we do know or expect the delegation is going to tweak that a little. I believe what the delegation has settled upon is that they are going to separate the bond bill into two bills, both of which will move forward this legislative session.
So what's important to know here is that the delegation will move forward with the $15 million bond authority for the YMCA.
That's my understanding.
That's mine too.
There are two bond bills being drafted right now. One for
Dr. Delegate Morgan last night, and we need people to understand that this is a process we're working through. Mm-hmm. So let's not hold people accountable. Well, hold people accountable. I'm not trying to say that. But what I say is it's a process. We need to work through it. So for those who say that it's not being supported by the delegation, that's not the case as I see it right now.
And that is absolutely my understanding from speaking to the delegation and looking at the vote chart. The YMCA bond bill for its $15 million is moving forward. It is being drafted. It has been in drafting with the Department of Legislative Services, my understanding, since January 14th, the second day of the session.
Yes.
So it is
For the entire
moving
$56
forward.
million.
Well, the 15 plus 41, they're breaking it up into two. Now, what Delegate Morgan, Matt Morgan, you know we get two Morgans now. Matt Morgan told me is that they want the bill to kind of codify. That's my term. That the YMCA will raise $4 million. Will try and get $2 million from state or federal sources or outside sources. That the county's portion will be set at $15 million, and also, what's important to understand here, we still have to find out if we can build this facility for what we budgeted for. And that's one thing that we've made a point to the delegation is if this thing comes in way over budget, then it's in jeopardy. The key gets to be is get this A&E done, which typically takes us a year, get it out to bid, make sure the project's within budget. So I think we're fine. I really believe we're on course, and for people to not think we are is jumping ahead of the gun. So let's give this process some time, let's give this process some air, and I think it will eventually get to where a majority of this commissioners, all unanimously believe it needs to go, and our community thinks it needs to go. All right.
That is all I had as far as updates on our local bills at this time. Moving on to the bills that